Another beautiful day, but again the wind was light. Starting in an 8-knot sea breeze, it built slowly to 12 knots by the end of the race. The gate boat was Mike Martin and Jeff Nelson sailing the black boat. There are two courses, today's being the short course. Competitors tack up into the wind, round the top mark past a clearance flag and come downwind through a gate where they can elect which way to pass. Off the start the wind was in the left, but about 5 minutes after the start it swung back to the right. The perfect scenario for the gate boat.
I'm swimming in a blue world, calling at my new world.
And sure enough, at the top mark it was Martin and Nelson in the lead. They were 15 seconds in front of Doug Hagan and Mike Duffield, the joint US-Australian team. Then it was the Queenslanders Cameron and Manders, and the locals Duessen and Spencer and Higgins and Marsh, split by the female team of Helen Fischer and Angela Stenger. Hamlin and Lanzinger and the Super Danes were back in 15th and 16th. The beautiful conditions made for a spectacular sight as the fleet worked down to the bottom mark. Most boats running square, but a few choosing to wire reach. Martin and Nelson continued to lead, but Higgins and Marsh had charged through the fleet by reaching.
All I wanna do is play my guitar, sing about the good.
The Super Danes had also gained, picking up 6 places and moving to 10th. Hasso was having another good race, rounding the bottom mark in 15th with a lot of big names behind him. For League 2, after the competitors clear the gate, they again sail back upwind to the top mark. They then reach to the wing mark, jibe, and then reach to the bottom mark. Upwind, Volker George and Friedrichs Hartwig of Germany make a great sight. By the reach, our leaders had cleared out. They held a 1-minute lead. Higgins and Marsh had put on a new main and were charging in second, as were Hagan and Duffield and the Commonwealth Bank boys. The first reach was again fairly broad, resulting in boats taking several different lines, and the second reach was tight. Fischer and Stenger were enjoying the lighter breeze. At the jibe mark there were plenty of opportunities to make gains, as evidenced by Waller and Cuneo. Thompson and Johnston led the former junior world champions Andrew Hewson and Kane Sinclair. Pete Woolman and Phil Webb enjoying their home waters. For Leg 3, after completing another beat and a run, competitors sail one final beat to the finish. Martin and Nelson led the fleet to the right ley line and head to the top mark for the third time with a 45-second lead. Higgins and Marsh jibe away in second, followed by Hagan and Duffield, and then the Germans Herrmann and Kleiner. By now, the Super Danes were 6th, hard on the tail of Duessen and Spencer. Fischer and Stenger had dropped back a little as the pressure built, but they were still sailing beautifully. Here, the Nicholsons demonstrate how to launch a kite at speed with a perfect set. It was an all-the-way win for the US team of Martin and Nelson, but Higgins and Marsh had slowly been reeling them in, and at the end there was only 20 seconds in it. Third was Hagan and Duffield, fourth Herrmann and Kleiner, and fifth the Super Dane team of Saugmann and Ramsbach, who picked up Duessen and Spencer with superior running speed. Another two-race day meant conditions for race 8 were identical to those at the finish of race 7, an 8 to 12 knot sea breeze. However, whilst the right was the big winner in the last race, the left was favoured this time. Most of the top boats picked the difference and made gains to that side of the course. Here you can see Jono Bannister and Matt Burns, both fairly new to the 505 and making big improvements this season. With such a big fleet, the boats spread right over the course. Approaching the top mark, the Super Danes were having a great battle with Hamlin and Lanzinger and Quirk and Lang. Hamlin and Lanzinger seemed to be enjoying the lighter winds, and along with the Danes had superb height and speed in the flat water. Behind the lead three, there was a huge number of boats hitting the mark together. The Swedes Rosen and Wenrup were just in front of Higgins and Marsh, and Pinnell and Hunt. Malcolm Higgins and Andrew Chisholm were fourth around the top mark and worked very hard downhill. Getting a clear lane in a big fleet was difficult. Hamlin and Lanzinger jibe early. Quirk and Lang were having their best race of the regatta, as were Malcolm Higgins and Andrew Chisholm. Into the bottom mark, the Super Danes already had a sizable lead. Not even a spinnaker problem on the drop could cost them. It looked like the retrieval line got caught, but it was quickly fixed. Quirk and Lang came through to second. Hagan and Duffield were having another good race, as were Tor and Bell. Unfortunately, Mike Martin and Jeff Nelson weren't. At the second top mark, Saugmann and Ramsbach continued to lead from Quirk and Lang and Hamlin and Lanzinger. Further back in the fleet, it wasn't all plain sailing, with the Queensland boys falling out of their boat. At the front, the Danes were feeling some pressure from Quirk and Lang, who had cleared out from Hamlin and Lanzinger. Next were the Swedes, the Poms, the Aussies and the Germans. The second reach was again a little deep, with competitors jibing to reach the bottom mark. The Danes put a tight cover on the fleet and extended their lead a little. Quirk and Lang were feeling a little pressure from Hamlin and Lanzinger, and Rosen and Wenrup moved forward all race. The Danes' downwind speed meant they weren't threatened, and again they extended their lead on Quirk and Lang, who also moved away from Hamlin and Lanzinger, who managed to hold on to their gap over the yellow boat of Rosen and Wenrup. The Danes' win meant that with one race to go, they could not be beaten. They have won their first World Championships. After 8 races, in first place overall and unbeatable, Saugmann and Ramsbach, from Martin and Nelson and Hamlin and Lanzinger.